If you've been thinking about buying a home this year, it's likely that you've seen some things in the news about a lawsuit settlement with the National Association of Realtors. And you might be wondering to yourself, how is this going to affect me as a home buyer in this market? That's what I'm going to talk about in today's video. If you're new here, my name is Ben. I'm a local real estate agent in the Oklahoma City area, and my team and I love to help people just like you find their next home or their dream home right here in the Oklahoma City metro area. If you're thinking about buying or selling, we'd love to help make it as stress-free as possible for you. You can find all of my contact information down in the description below. Go ahead and give me a call or send me a text or an email, and let's have a conversation to see if we'd be a good fit to work together. And if you want to see more content like this, be sure to hit subscribe. That way you never miss an update on the Oklahoma City real estate market. So what's going on with the rules around buying real estate in the United States? There are some changes that are coming, and you might have questions about what those changes are, what the implications are for you. So here's the abbreviated version. In 2023, there was a class action lawsuit filed against the National Association of Realtors and several large real estate brokerages throughout the United States. And this lawsuit made the claim that realtors were price fixing commissions. Now, the National Association of Realtors and several of the large brokerages in this country have settled that lawsuit. And as a part of that settlement, we're beginning to see some changes come about in the real estate industry in the United States. One of those changes is that agent commissions are going to be decoupled. So traditionally, sellers have paid the buyer's agent commission. There's a few reasons for that. One reason is that buyers really bear the largest portion of the closing costs when it comes to closing on a real estate transaction. There are a ton of fees that go into buying a home, and so sellers in the past have paid the buyer's agent commission out of the proceeds of the sale. This was also seen as a sort of marketing expense for sellers, because by offering an agent commission to the buy side, they are opening it up to more exposure, more agents marketing the property on behalf of the seller. And so for that reason, sellers have paid the buyer's agent commission. Now, I want to be very clear that commissions have always been negotiable, and that is not changing. That is still the case. However, the way we talk about that and the way we communicate it is going to have more transparency, which I think is a good thing for the industry. But it will bring about some changes and perhaps some unintended consequences that I'm going to unpack in this video. So the first thing to know is that buyers have always had the ability to offer on a home and purchase a home without their own representation. You could always go directly to the listing agent and make an offer and purchase a home that way. And there is a percentage of the population who do business that way. That's how they buy homes. However, it's also important to understand that it's the listing agent's job, first and foremost, to protect their seller's interest. Now, when a listing agent does represent both sides of the transaction, which has not been legal in all states in the United States, but it is legal in many places, when that happens, they are required by the Code of Ethics to treat both parties equally. The reality is that when an agent is representing both sides of the transaction, they essentially have to become a neutral party in that transaction, meaning they cannot fight for either side, be it the buyer or the seller. And so a listing agent who is representing the seller has a fiduciary duty to their seller to get them the best terms possible, whether that be highest price or fastest close. Whatever those terms look like, that agent is fighting for the seller's interests. And when you as a buyer come to a transaction with your own representation, then your realtor, your agent, is fighting for your interests to get you the best terms possible. And best terms might mean the lowest price, or it could mean a certain number of concessions from the seller. Maybe they're paying for closing costs or an interest rate buy down, or maybe they're fixing a number of items that were revealed during the inspection which your realtor helped to coordinate. Those are the kinds of things that a realtor is fighting for on your behalf. Having your own representation in a transaction by a professional real estate agent ensures that you don't miss out on valuable deductions or make costly mistakes. Otherwise, you're working without a safety net in a territory where the stakes are high and the details matter. So yes, as a buyer, you can absolutely purchase a home without your own representation by a realtor. But it's sort of like going to court and representing yourself when the other side has an attorney representing them, or playing in a tennis match when the other player is also the referee. You can see how you could still get the thing done, but you may not get the best terms that are available or that are possible. Let me give a quick example that I heard recently. There was a home that was under contract and they were in the inspection period, and a crack was noticed in the wall during the inspection. And the seller said, we had a foundation repair company come out and take a look at it, and they told us it would be a $6,000 fix. So we're gonna give you, Mr. Buyer, $6,000 off the price of the home. Now at first that may sound like, great, no problem. The deal is taken care of. The buyer is going to cover that cost of the repair. We're good to move forward. The buyer's agent double-clicked and said, wait a minute, let's get a foundation expert out here who we, the buy side, are hiring to get another opinion on this and make sure that it's only going to cost what the sellers are saying it's going to cost. They brought out another foundation company to take a look, and that company was able to tell them that the $6,000 repair that had been quoted to them by the sellers was really just a cosmetic fix, and that to fully repair the foundation and restore it to where it would be good for another 50 years, it was going to cost $20,000. So this buyer was going to get a credit of $6,000 for a problem that would have cost them $20,000. And this is just one of many examples I could provide of why having buyer representation can save you tens of thousands of dollars in the long run. Whether it's an immediate and short-term thing like a foundation repair, or a legal issue. There are a number of terms in a real estate contract that are negotiable, and it's my job as a real estate agent to understand those terms and to be able to negotiate them on behalf of the client I'm representing. My team and I understand all of the legal implications that are present in a real estate contract, and we know how to protect your interests as we walk you through the process of buying a home together. So what does all of this mean if you are a buyer in the market to buy a home in 2024? Well, according to the settlement that the National Association of Realtors has reached, the commissions for buyers and sellers agents are being decoupled. Now, we are already seeing listings where the sellers are not offering a commission to the buy side. And again, that's fine because commissions are negotiable. So what does that mean for you as a buyer who want to have representation to make sure your interests are protected throughout the transaction? Well, there's a few ways that this might shake out. And I should preface this by saying the Department of Justice is going to weigh in on all of this on July 11th of 2024. And there are some industry experts who expect that the DOJ wants to go even further than what this settlement has done. So we don't know for sure at this point in time when I'm recording this what those results are going to be. But we do know that most likely those commissions are going to be decoupled. So if you're a buyer and you might be saying to yourself, I want to use representation to buy this home because I want to make sure that I'm getting the best terms possible, that I know any potential problems with the house that might come up through inspections. I want somebody protecting my interests and handling all of the headache that goes into a real estate transaction on my behalf. So there are a few ways that it's likely things are going to change for buyers who want representation. One of those ways is that we can request that the seller cover the cost of that commission through concessions. What does that mean? Essentially, the seller would offer a credit toward the closing costs of the buyer, which include the buyer's agent commission, to cover that amount. A few days before closing, you'll get a statement from the title company with the amount you need to bring to closing. And that includes things like your down payment, any prorated taxes and insurance, lender fees, all of that sort of stuff goes into your closing costs. And sellers have the option to cover some of those closing costs, and they often do that as a way to incentivize buyers when they're in a negotiation. So one of the ways that a buyer's real estate agent's commission can be paid for is through seller concessions. Now, one of the unintended consequences of these rule changes is that VA buyers, for example, are not allowed to pay certain fees, including commissions. So we don't yet know how these new rules are going to affect VA buyers. Now, I'm sure there will be a lot more clarity in the coming months, especially once the DOJ has given their ruling on this issue again in the month of July. But in the meantime, if you're considering buying a home this year, I do think it would be a good idea to go ahead and begin that process, because it takes a little while to find the right home. And then once you find the right home and make an offer and get it under contract, it can take 30 to 45 days to close. And so getting all of that done before these new rules go into effect later in the summer might be a good idea. If you have questions about how all of that stuff works, drop a comment down below. I'll do my best to answer it. There's a lot of information out there about these changes, and there's a lot of misinformation, unfortunately. And so I want to help bring clarity where I can. And I want to just take a moment to say thank you to the 150 or so of you who are subscribed to this channel. It means a ton to me that you would trust me to come into your home or wherever you watch these videos from and talk to you about the real estate market in the Oklahoma City area. And I hope that these videos provide you value. And if you would, do me a favor, drop a comment below and let me know which kinds of videos are your favorite to watch. Is it these kind of things where I'm updating you on the nuts and bolts behind the scenes of the real estate industry? Is it the neighborhood tours? Is it the pros and cons? I'd love to know what kind of content you love, because I want to make more of that kind of content for you. And as you're thinking about your next moves of buying or selling a home, this video is going to give you some additional context on the real estate market in the Oklahoma City metro area.